Bonjour mes amis, c'est moi Madaz et je suis ici à Paris, l'une des plus belles villes du monde. And today I'm going to give you guys an honest assessment about my own personal trading, my own strengths and weaknesses, so hopefully you guys can better yourselves at your own trading. But you're going to have to stay tuned to find out. What's up, you guys? Just hanging out here at the Champ de Mars, right in front of the world famous Eiffel Tower. What a beautiful spot to be hanging out. You know, Paris has been great, man. Today is actually my last day here, so it's bittersweet, but if you guys have not been to Paris, there's a little bit of everything for everyone. If you're really a big history buff, definitely lots of spots. I mean, there's just so many places to see that you really have to spend days and days and days and days to really see everything. And Paris is one of those places where you can come back 2-3 times and still probably not take in all the sights. You know, I felt like I rushed through most of the things here just to try to squeeze things in. And I was here for over a week, and it was still difficult to get everything in. But man, if you guys get a chance, definitely go to Paris. It's a little bit of everything for everyone. Take a date, take your family, take, you know, even like a personal trip and just check out the sights, man. It's just one of those must-see places in this world. So highly recommend it. Expect to do a lot of walking though. It's a lot of walking. Any city in Europe, expect to walk a lot. And there are days where I walked easily over 25,000 steps. But hey, it's a good workout, keeps you in shape. Why not? So let's hop right to it, guys. We're going to talk about strengths and weaknesses when it comes to trading. I'm going to give you guys an honest assessment about what I think I'm good at, what I think I need to work on, so that way you guys can probably relate to it a little bit, hopefully, and you know, maybe do your own self-assessment and then maybe better your own trading as a result. Let's start with the weaknesses first. It's kind of funny how every time we say you know, you want to hear the good news or the bad news first. Everyone always picks the bad news. Why is that? Everyone's just a pessimist. But let's go ahead and start talking about the weaknesses first. First weakness that I always tend to do is I always try to squeeze in that final extra Big Mac trade, if you will. You know, I'm up on nicely from the morning session, and then you know I see its stock moving in the afternoon, jump in, and then you know it's usually in the afternoon. It's a lot more difficult. There's a lot of other weird stuff going on, like I always say, shenanigans, and I end up throwing away money in the afternoon for just going for that extra one last trade, right? Trying to make that extra $100. So that's something that I feel like it's part of greed. I guess it's human nature, and that's something that's part of all of us, and I'm not immune to that, admittedly. So that's something I need to work on, you know, squeezing in that extra trade in the afternoon, something I probably want to avoid because, you know, it's needless. You know, it's like I'm already up nicely from the morning, trying to make the extra $100 and then getting myself stuck into something that's not desirable, to say the least. And, you know, melting away mental capital as well as melting away probably physical capital, trying to bite tooth and nail just to get out of that trade alive. In the end, it's not worth it. Better off just waiting for the next day where you're probably going to have more edge. So that's one thing I want to work on moving forward. Second thing, not adapting to the markets fast enough. So as we've seen sometimes, especially in the summer where things slowed down, we had an epic March and an epic April. You know, I made $120,000 in March, $120,000 in April, and then May came around and then everything just kind of like went to a screeching halt seemingly overnight as soon as the calendar went from April 30th to May 1st. So, you know, that's something that I feel like I need to work on as well. You got to recognize each day is mutually exclusive of each other. So that way, you know, if you look at it like that, then you won't just act kind of, I guess, you don't have that preconceived notion that the next day is going to follow what the previous day did. And you don't want to do that because that's how you end up mismanaging your risk. You end up oversizing. You end up doing lots of things that that's just not appropriate for the current market conditions. As we've seen, sometimes it can happen overnight. So you gotta be really careful with that. So overall, that's something that we need to all work on. That's something I need to work on, and it will absolutely keep your account happy if you do so. Weakness number 3, sometimes I go in a little bit too big and I end up missing the fill, and I end up holding on to the trade longer than I had planned. That's something I don't recommend anyone doing because, for example, if you're short a stock and the stock washes out to the area where you'd expect it to, it hits your target, and then you're supposed to get out, and then you say you missed the fill for whatever reason, maybe your size too big, there's not enough liquidity to fill your order, or maybe you're just too slow and you just didn't get executed. Sometimes what happens is I stick around and wait for a second wash to that area, and it doesn't come, and now I'm stuck in a grind, right? Now I'm stuck holding sometimes a pretty sizable position during lull, and that's not desirable to say the least, and headaches will ensue. So, you know, in that situation, you're probably better off just whacking out and taking liquidity instead of just waiting, because at that point you're gonna lose a lot more than you'd expect if the stock ends up moving further against you than you think. So that's something I need to work on as well. You know, if I missed a fill, might as well just take it, just get out. Weakness number 4, and this one relates to the emotional aspect of things that I feel like a lot of people can relate to. Again, we're human beings, we're emotional creatures, and you know, I'm not immune to that, of course. You know, I'm pretty good at dealing with my emotions when it comes to trades that are planned. If I know my risk, if I know that, okay, if I take this trade, then this is my risk. If I take the loss, I know what the probability is. If there's a high chance of me losing on the trade, then I can accept that. But the thing I have trouble accepting is when you get stuck in what I would call a BS scenario, which would be like if you're in a trade, you get screwed over by random unpredictable news or some sort of other unpredictable event, like a random, I don't know, some sort of manipulation or something like that. You know, that's annoying, right? You're in a trade, you're trying to manage your risk, and all of a sudden there's some random news and it completely throws off your risk. You don't stop in time, you take a bigger loss than you anticipated, and that sucks. For me, the way to deal with that is taking a step back, try to understand, okay, what are the situations where it's most likely going to occur, and that way you know ahead of time, okay, if there's most likely going to be news that's released during this time of day, or there's most likely a time where, for example, if the liquidity gets really low, there's a higher chance of manipulation, a more chance of shenanigans, then you're probably more likely to just stay away from those situations in general, and then you'll understand, okay, I'm not going to get stuck in something stupid, therefore I won't be pushed into that situation where I'm going to act emotionally and things start spiraling out of control. So it's all about taking a step back and understanding what's going on, what the situation is, and that way you won't get stuck and you won't be in that high intensity pressure situation. So that's one way to deal with it. But again, you know, getting stuck in something like that, it does suck, admittedly. All right, so let's talk about the positive stuff. Let's talk about the good stuff. Let's talk about strengths. So what do I feel like that I'm good at that's helped me along the way with my trading up to this point? And the first thing I want to talk about is bias switches and just being overall open-minded to both sides of the trade. Now, I've seen a lot of new traders, they tend to just stick to one side of the trade. You know, they either go just strictly short or strictly long, which is perfectly fine. You know, if you can be profitable doing so, more power to you, because in the end, that's all that really matters. But for me personally, trading the markets is about optimizing, maximizing every single opportunity you can get and taking advantage of them. So being open-minded to both sides of the trades opens that opportunity, those doors for you. At the same time though, the more important thing here is if you're stuck on the wrong side of the trade, you'll know to flip sides and go to the other side of the trade, so that way you know exactly when to cut your losses and then start making profits on the correct side of the trade. So you'll make back that loss instantly, and then you'll be up overall on the name or whatever stock you're trading as a result. So being open-minded to both sides of the trade is extremely critical, both from maximizing your profits, that kind of standpoint, as well as protecting your account and taking losses when you should. More, I would say, with more conviction, and at the same time, you'll be able to instantly make back those losses once you join the right side of the trade. So that's very critical. Something I want to talk about, of course, being open-minded to both sides of the trade, bias switches, and all that good stuff. Second strength is that I am very data-driven, and I know exactly where my edge is. So, you know, I've been journaling now for 5 years, and I can't stress this enough. I've been talking about this in multiple interviews and videos, how important it is to track your trading, journal them, so that way you know exactly what to expect. I know exactly where my edge is. I know that I trade better in the morning versus the afternoon. How do I know that? That's because I have the data for it. How do I know that I should go take vacations in August? It's because I know that traditionally speaking, August is my worst trading month. So these are things that will help you define your edge, and I feel like that's something that I do pretty well, and that's why I know exactly, sometimes to a T, know when to leave for a trader nap, know when to do certain things that people don't really understand just because they don't journal. So if you guys don't journal, absolutely, hey, it's never too late. I highly recommend it. All right, so the third strength is, kind of ties in back with the last one. I know exactly what I'm good at, and I stay in my lane, and I don't overextend myself on, you know, types of setups that I'm not comfortable with, and trades that I know that I wouldn't be able to manage well, just because I just have not enough edge in it, or at least I'm not good enough. I don't have the skill set for it, or I don't have the personality for it, and that's perfectly fine. Again, the market's about optimizing and maximizing your profits. And if you feel like if you try to venture off into something that you're not good at, then you're going to start losing profits, and that defeats the purpose of making profits, right? So again, stay in your lane. If you're not good at, you know, trading options or whatever, then don't trade options. If you're not good at trading futures, then don't trade futures. But if you are good, then by all means go for it. More power to you. But to me, trading is about optimizing your opportunities, you know, preserving your mental capital. So for me personally, I just trade small caps mostly. Occasionally I'll dabble into ETFs with UVXY and some of the larger cap names when they're trading several times higher, several times average daily volume. But for the most part, you know, I know where I'm at, I know where my edge is at, and that's perfectly fine. I make good money, and that's all that really matters to me. All right, the fourth and final strength is that I know how to recover my mindset very quickly. Again, this ties back into the last two. I know exactly what I'm good at, and I know exactly what to expect because I have the data to prove it. So when you have the closure in knowing, okay, this is what caused my loss, then I have no problems moving on from it and not dwelling on it and not living in the past. So for me personally, you know, a lot of people ask me this question, like, how do you move on from a loss so easily? You know, you just lost, like, you just took a huge loss. Like, how did you just keep going, make back that loss the same day, or come back the next day and make it back? It's because, okay, well, I knew what my risk was on the trade, and I don't have a problem taking the loss if that was the right decision at that moment. And again, every single trade is mutually exclusive of each other. So why let the next trade get dictated by what the outcome of the previous trade was? So for me personally, like I said, I know exactly what to expect, and at the same time, you know, when you have the closure and knowing this information and knowing what to expect, you're going to be able to move on and not dwell on the emotions of that loss, and not let that impact you from making better decisions moving forward. So there you have it, guys, my honest assessment, self-assessment of my strengths and weaknesses with my personal trading. So hopefully that helped you guys maybe realize some of the things that you see with your own personal trading, strengths and weaknesses wise. Hopefully that actually bettered your own trading there by watching this video. That said, guys, hopefully you guys also enjoyed hanging out and enjoying the sights here, the Eiffel Tower, the iconic Eiffel Tower, hanging out with me, so to speak, in Paris. Look forward to seeing you guys in the next awesome Madaz video. As always, guys, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and of course, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. All of your comments are greatly appreciated, and it will help grow this channel, and I'll make more awesome content for you guys, you know, many days to come. So, hey, I enjoyed hanging out with you guys. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you guys next time.
Excuse me, you speak English?
No, I speak Mongolian.
Just to sign, thank you.
I speak Mongolian, sorry.